Last week, Ian Rappaport talked about the Giants moving up to the number one pick. Mike Garafolo of NFL Network has talked about it. And now Jordan Renan of ESPN has revealed what he thinks the price would be for Big Blue to move up to the number one pick with the Tennessee Titans. We're going to unpack that on today's show. But first, I just want to get the pulse of all the real ones out there. Do you think the Giants should trade up to the number one pick to choose whatever quarterback they want? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from all the real ones in the comment section. Welcome into Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's talk about it. Rumors about Big Blue moving up to the number one pick in the 2025 NFL Draft are heating up. We broke it down last week when Mike Garafolo talked about the Giants pursuing the possibility of moving up to the number one pick like they did last year when they tried to trade up to number 2 with the Commanders to select Jaden Daniels, and like they tried to trade up to number 3 with the New England Patriots to select Drake May. Sounds like they may be trying to move up to number 1 to have their first choice at a QB. Ian Rappaport tweeting this out a couple of days ago. The Titans are open to all options at number 1 overall, including potentially trading the pick. And what they decide will have a major impact on everything and everyone going forward. I wanted to bring up this quote from the new GM of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Borgonzi, saying, quote, "Draft picks are our biggest form of currency. So when there's opportunities to trade back to collect more picks, we're going to do just that." Maybe this is smoke and mirrors. Maybe this is Borgonzi just putting it out there that if you're trying to trade up to number 1, we're going to try to get a lot of picks. Because right now the Titans have just 1 pick inside the top 100, and that's the number 1 overall selection. They have 8 picks throughout the draft, but I could see them trying to add a little bit more premium draft capital to their wallet. Dan Duggan of The Athletic, who covers the Giants, said this a couple of days ago. It feels very much like this is setting up for a Giants trade from number 3 up to number 1 with the Tennessee Titans. Then Ryan Dunleavy, who covers the New York Giants, says, "I've been saying all along my expectation is that the Giants will trade into the highest pick available, 1 or 2, and pick their quarterback. Now we know number 1 is available. It will be on John Mara to prevent Shane and Dable from giving up the farm in the 2026 draft capital since they have nothing to lose and jobs to save. Titans will surely try to leverage the Raiders trade interest to get more out of the New York Giants." So we have the national media saying that the pick is available, and now we have every single Giants beat reporter, now including Jordan Renan, hinting and really starting to point the arrows to the Giants trading up. Renan put out this article today saying, what's a realistic price for the Giants to trade for the number 1 pick? Well, let's talk about it. ESPN actually put out an article over the weekend where they brought in former executives and high-ranking NFL senior reporters, and they did kind of a survey, and they did a lot of answering of a lot of different questions. And I thought this one was really intriguing. It was the thoughts on the Titans and the number 1 overall pick. They had 8 people on the panel. 5 voted that they would trade the pick, while only 3 said they would keep the pick. The overall quote was, "The feeling is the Titans will trade the pick, and then Tennessee is expected to move back with a QB-needy team." And there are a lot of QB-needy teams that could be looking to move up. You're looking at the New York Giants. You're looking at the Las Vegas Raiders that are all inside the top 7. There's reports and rumors coming out that the New York Jets could be looking to trade up. There's no shortage of teams that are trying to move up. And if the overall belief is that the Titans are open to moving the pick, I think more teams will call. ESPN went on to say this about the Titans trading the number 1 pick. Tennessee has made it known they are willing to entertain offers for the first pick. President of Football Operations, Trad Brinker, said he wants to acquire picks, especially in the top 100. Trading out of number 1 is the best way to add more draft capital. Like we talked about, the Titans only have 1 pick inside that top 100, and as they try to rebuild that roster, they want more premium draft capital. And they can acquire that, especially with the New York Giants. According to the trade value chart, if the Giants send pick number 3 to the Titans for pick number 1, they would most likely have to add a couple of mid-round picks, and then you throw on that QB tax, because as we know, when a team knows you're moving up in the draft to take quarterback, You got to add a little bit more cheese on that deal. Jordan on in his article that we referenced just moments ago, he said he believes that it would take day 2 picks plus the 3rd overall pick. I thought the S on the back of that pick was very interesting. I want to say this. If you think the quarterback that you are moving up for is the guy, this is a steal. If all it is going to take is a couple of 3rd-round picks to move up from the number 3 overall selection to the number 1 overall selection, you go out and you make that trade. Like, that's a very, very doable deal. And I also want to reference this trade. Renan talked about it, and we have talked about it on the channel before. If you go back to the 2017 draft, you see a very similar situation unfolding. You got the Bears and the Niners agreeing to a trade where the Bears went from the number 3 pick to the number 2 pick. They swapped first rounders, and Chicago also sent a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick in that draft and an additional 3rd-round pick in the next draft to move up 1 spot to add that quarterback. And I think that is a similar framework as to what the Giants most likely would have to do to move up. If I'm the Titans and I'm moving out of 1, the Giants are actually a team that I am interested in trading back for, because if we do move back from 1 to 3, being the Titans, you are still in prime territory to go out and select a blue chip prospect. Because the quarterback's going to go number 1 if the New York Giants trade up. So we'll take Shedeur or Cam off the board. Now there's just 1 pick with still Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. And the belief growing across the NFL landscape is that the Browns are warming up to the idea of taking a quarterback. So if a QB goes 1 and 2 and you're the Titans and you trade down to 3, you have your option. Plus a handful of picks that you acquired in that trade to select Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. So this is what that trade would look like that we talked about, where we showed the 49ers and the Chicago Bears pulling off that deal back in 2017. If you kind of put that into terms for the New York Giants and what it would cost, you would throw them pick 65, number 1 overall pick in the 3rd round, and then you would throw them a 4th rounder, pick 134, and then a 2026 3rd-round pick. So 2 thirds and 1 4th-round pick to move up 2 slots to have your choice at the best player in this class. If you were Joe Schoen, the general manager of this football team, would you make this trade? Mike Borgonzi and the Tennessee Titans are on the other side of the phone, and they have offered you this deal. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I want to hear from all of you in the comment section. I keep on going back to something that I was saying a lot last year as I went back and watched videos and want to make sure all my takes line up. Is I truly do believe that if you think that is the franchise guy, if you think that that quarterback you're moving up for can be your starter for the long term, you do whatever it takes to add a franchise quarterback. Question now becomes, is one of Shedeur or Cam Ward a franchise QB? Jordan Renan, who put out the article talking about the price to trade up, also added a tweet, and I thought this was really interesting. He said, would you trade for the Giants, pick number 3, a 3rd-round pick this year, and a 3rd-round pick next year, to the Titans for the number 1 overall pick? That would actually be less than the trade that we showed you between the Bears and the Niners. Instead, in this deal that we just showed you, 2 3rd-round picks. The prior deal is 2 3rd-round picks and a 4th-round pick. And I would like to do that even more because it costs even less. And you do what it takes. If you believe the franchise quarterback is on the board when you can be on the clock and you could draft that player and you think it could change your immediate and long-term future of your football team, you go and do it. I got more thoughts on this subject coming up in a second. But first, show some love to Malik Neighbors. Get the signal caller's best friend, because whether it's Ward or whether it's Sanders, they're going to be throwing this guy the ball early and often all season long, and I think he may go down as one of the best receivers to ever wear a Giants uniform. Chatsports.com/neighbors. That's chatsports.com/neighbors. Get your jersey today. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. I want to go back to the ESPN article we referenced at the top of the show, where they had former GMs and former NFL scouts doing a survey, and they were asked, who do you think will be the number 1 pick? And will it be a QB? Will number 1 be a QB? They're factoring in a trade, and they're factoring in maybe the Titans just sticking and picking. 3 people voted yes, that it will be a QB. 4 people voted no, and then 2 weak gentlemen were undecided. Decide. Pick a side of the fence. Said the QB overall and the quality in this class is low this year, and I'm getting kind of tired of people saying that. Like, we're comparing it to a 2024 class that saw 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12 or whatever it was, and 3 of them look like they're generational players. Some executives thought it was too early to decide if a QB would go number 1 overall. So there's that. And then they were asked who is the number 1 overall QB in this class. 4 people voted for Cam Ward as the best. 3 voted for Shedeur Sanders. Ward and Sanders are clearly the top 2 QBs according to ESPN. And they both all kind of agreed that it wasn't the draft class that it was last year. So really get kind of tired of hearing that, but it is what it is. I believe both these guys can be special. I really do. I'm not saying that they are bust-proof. I'm not saying they are gold jacket worthy. I'm not saying these are the best prospects since X or whatever. But I do believe that both these guys can be successful. And I'm really just starting to come to this. The pressure is on Brian Daboll. Whether you get Cam Ward, whether you get Shedeur Sanders, whoever you get of the 2, the job is on your shoulders, Brian Daboll, to make these guys successful. That is why you were hired as the head coach of the New York Football Giants. To 1, identify the rookie quarterback you think can be the most successful. And 2, take that rookie quarterback, put him under your wing, and walk him to success. What you did, which whatever it was, with Josh Allen was the reason you got this job. You were hired to identify and really help that next QB bring this team back. Look what Sean Payton did with Bo Nix. I didn't think Bo Nix was worth anything. Nobody out there really did. And I don't think Bo Nix would have been very good with the New York Giants. I don't think Bo Nix would have been very good with the Atlanta Falcons. And I say all that to say, what's the common denominator there? Sean Payton. What surrounds the rookie quarterback is just as important to the quarterback having success as having franchise-changing traits, game-changing traits. Do you have an offensive line that's going to protect him to allow that rookie quarterback to hit his back foot and go through reads and not worry about getting his face tore off? Do you have a head coach and a play caller that can relate to that rookie quarterback? Can that guy get the most? Can he put that player in position to have the most success? And do you have a game changer on the outside? Do you have weapons that can raise the floor for that rookie quarterback and make it as simple as being a point guard, a la Rajon Rondo, and just getting the ball out and letting your playmakers work? Yes, it's important that your rookie quarterback has skill. Yes, it's important that they can process and do all those things. But if you don't have an O-line, you don't have a creative OC, you don't have a head coach that could put the quarterback in the spots to be successful, and you don't have weapons, I don't care who you are. You're not going to be successful early on. Look at Caleb Williams. People called him a blue chipper. People said he was a can't-miss prospect, the best we've seen since Andrew Luck. He looked terrible at times this year because he didn't have a good head coach, didn't have a good play caller, and his offensive line, they were cheeks. My question to you is this. Who do you have as your QB1 this year? Who is QB1 in 2025 for you? Is it Shedeur? Is it Cam? Let me know. I want to make it clear that Cam Ward is my QB1. And I've been on this for a while, going all the way back to the start of the 2024 college football season. Week 0 and what he did to Florida. I remember being in Vegas with some of the Chat Sports crew. We're watching that game. I see him rolling left, throwing that back and around to the left pylon of the end zone. I'm like, yeah, the ball comes out of that guy's hand a little bit different. But when you stack up Ward and Sanders, it really comes down to preference. They can both be successful. They both have the tools, the skills, the brain, and the IQ to be successful. Do you want the on-time, on-target, more polished pocket passer? That's Shedeur Sanders. Do you want the creator, the improviser, the guy that thrives out of structure and playmaking is a little bit higher? That's Cam Ward. But both of them can be successful. And the right guy, the right head coach, the right play caller, hopefully, Brian Daboll, and the right organization should be able to surround either of these young men with the needed parts to be successful. That's what I'm at this point. I think both of them could be good. I have Cam 1 and I have Shedeur 2, but the most important thing is not picking the right guy between those two. It's putting the right people around him on the coaching staff and on the football field. That's what's going to determine if that rookie quarterback can be good or if he's going to be a bust. Make sure you are following me on social media. We can continue the conversation over there. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_, and I'm on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Big Blue.